Mixed feelings about that.
I know. Well, I'm not so worn out, but then I don't get to see him. So, okay.
We're gonna have to get on my Ron.
Because he didn't post it, did he?
Nothing was posted on the web.
Well, life's been a little crazy, our shower stuff.
Really?
All night, and I said, that's more medicine than that.
Just a
Trying to
little.
figure that. I gave him a little slack.
Just a little.
It's crazy at mine too.
But, you know, I pulled that up this morning, I'm like, I don't think Ron grabbed my computer.
Yeah,
to-
he did.
Yeah, we did it. And we didn't get a little email from you going,
I started to, but I thought, oh well, I'm gonna give him a slack this week.
Oh, we
Then I'm
appreciate
gonna-
that.
And then I'm gonna email him and say, okay, I'm back.
well, the shower redo led into, the bathroom redo led into now we're going to put in a walk-in shower, not the bathtub anymore because it's all rotten. Led into the siding was a little rotted on the outside because of the shower leaking, so now we had to replace the siding, which led into the house had to be repainted. So that happened yesterday. So really nothing is going on at my house at all that's anything related to not remembering that. But that will probably get up this weekend.
I will be
We'll do two at one time.
Because I thought, well, I'll look and see what they did last week while I was out.
While you were with Kenneth. Yeah, it's a little crazy.
So are you saying that kind of blew the budget?
It's saying what?
Kind of blew Ron's budget that he had laid out?
Well, it's like we have it. That's not what we wanted to spend it on.
But praise
However,
God.
thank
Praise
you,
God.
Lord, that we have it instead of
Yeah.
going, you know, but the big, garden tub stepping in, our season in life is probably coming to an end for that. So the walk-in shower is total blessing.
do that.
Oh, yeah.
Total blessing. Now we won't have to worry when we're not able to do that. We can just walk right in.
Hey, Jen, what do you need?
Help me in!
I'm in the bathroom. Oh, yeah.
Help me out of the tub. Yeah.
Ron and Jenny have been the only people that have an elevator
Right, into the
that can get in and
tub.
out of bathtub.
You'll be so glad.
I know, everybody tells me that. And when it's done, I will be very glad.
The only other turns of it is one of those walk-in tubs, and
And I've heard, and I don't really want that since we have a tub in the other bathroom.
that never interested me. So.
All right, let's open up in prayer. Father, I just ask that you would quiet our hearts this morning. Help us to glean and to learn from one another in our studies and what you've shown us through your Holy Spirit, through Joshua. How you exalt your leaders in your time when you want to and when it's in your perfect sovereign will. Father, I just thank you for your word. Thank you for the time that we are allowed to spend in it. And I pray that we would guard that over everything. In your precious name we pray. Amen. So, on the way in, listening to Chuck Swindoll. Did anybody else listen to Chuck Swindoll in the morning? Guess who he talked about?
Joshua.
Bingo! I'm like, wow. Little tidbits, and you might want to write this down because I had to remember on the way in because I can't write down while I'm driving. He said, whenever a leader dies, God's work is not lost or dead.
Yeah.
That's really good. Because it says, now it came about after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, that the Lord spoke to Joshua. I'm like, but Moses is dead. Yeah, but God's work isn't dead. Now it's time for Joshua. He said double synonyms. I didn't think about that either. Okay, I'm going to name one. You name me the other two that I can think of. Strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous. What else? Double synonyms.
I think Joseph was. I think he's still a no. That's
I
what
didn't
comes up
get
with
that
me.
one. Be still and know. That's another one. Okay. Okay, I will never leave you.
Or forsake
so
you.
there's another double synonym.
Oh, you
okay.
I'm sorry.
Do not be Or don't
Or don't fear.
don't tremble or be
Dismayed.
dismayed. He said when it's in the Hebrew like that, it's so emphasized that they actually stop and pay attention to what is being written there because it's two synonyms.
It's like
That
a
means the
double
same
emphasis.
thing. A double emphasis, right. Half-hearted obedience usually leads to complete disobedience. Now, he didn't put the usually in there. I did. And then he gave a timeline of complete possession. Didn't happen until like David or Solomon's time. Complete possession. That's a long time. Because you've got to go through the book of Judges. Yeah.
But God told him he wasn't going to do it all at once.
He did. He did. But that little tidbits. Share anything that you've come up with. Again, we went over Joshua 1 pretty much. What's really stood out in your study this week as you were looking at the other chapters? What you went, wow, I never saw that before. I can really apply that to my life.
Hey, you know what I clarified for myself? The two spies.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid growing up, those two spies were just smushed into Joshua and Caleb. They were the two.
Right, and that's not them.
And it's like, that's not them.
And God never names them.
Yeah.
He specifically names the 12 spies that Moses chose to send
Yeah.
into the land
Yeah.
40 years
But
before.
you hear the two stories, and until you study the stories, they were just always one and the same to me. And I was like, well, how did that work?
Why am I keep thinking that Joshua and
Well, those
Caleb
are
were those two spies?
4
They're
years
not.
apart.
Right?
That's how it worked.
Good.
Okay. Joshua and Caleb were a little bit older each spy at that time.
Good point. 40
Yeah.
years older.
Yep.
But I think of Joshua and Caleb as being the two that Rahab hid.
I know
was
it.
my thing.
And they weren't.
And they weren't.
I know. I
Not at
know.
all.
It's funny how some things
Yeah.
stay in our head from our, and we don't realize that we've just adopted that. And it's like, oh, wait, I can't think that. That's not right.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, yeah, 'cause they were not named. were they?
No, they didn't even name the two spies. And they brought back a good report.
Yep.
Like,
Rahab
And he just,
also told the spies that we heard
Mhm.
of how God dried up the sea.
Which
we
sea?
heard Ritzy.
the Red
Red
Sea.
Sea.
How
Which
long
is
ago
all
was that?
you ever really hear about.
40
You don't
years.
hear about.
I know. Why didn't they hear about the Jordan?
Yeah.
Well, the Jordan hadn't happened
Jordan
yet.
hadn't
Jordan
happened
hadn't
yet.
happened.
Yeah, right.
40 years they heard about the Red
It's not as
Sea.
big of a deal. It
And we
seems like.
heard,
Yeah.
I know.
and we heard about
significant.
the tribes
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Right.
were destroyed.
We heard about the
Heard
tribes
all of that.
that destroyed the two kings.
Yeah.
Sihon and
Another thing,
Uh-huh.
you're on the west side of the Jordan, and the Israelites are on the eastern side. It's nighttime. Hey, Dad, what's that big light that you see over there?
Mm-hmm.
It's a pillar of fire.
I don't know if the pillar of fire was still there or not.
I think it was.
Because it says the Ark of the Covenant, God's presence, and we never hear about
Right,
the pillar.
we
So I
never
don't
hear
want
about the pillar
to.
of fire.
I don't want to put that in there. The
Manna
manna was
doesn't say
continued,
And it was there.
but I don't.
But it's
I don't
not there.
know because they're told to watch the Ark.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not told to watch the pillar. So again, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to put that in there.
Yeah, let's take-
However, the Red Sea was 40 years ago. We have heard how the Lord. I'm like, well, how old are you? I don't think Rahab's 40.
No.
Now, why wouldn't I think she's 40?
Well, she's not married, which.
And she is a.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Who's typically
It's nice.
Yeah.
18 to 30, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
not back then maybe, because they lived longer.
But they started earlier.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. They just did, right?
And the-
And the Israelites
that
got
culture
married
is-
way earlier
Yeah.
because we
Yeah,
know
those
Mary
kind of
was,
stories
you
that
know,
get passed
promised to
down,
Joseph.
passed down.
Right. Through believers?
No, that's the
Anybody.
thing.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, how do you know that 40 years later? Because you aren't even on the east side. You're
Right.
on the west side,
How significant was it that they were still talking about
Right.
it? Is,
right?
Yeah.
Right?
Passing it down.
They saw
Amazing.
2 million people die, so that, I don't think that's a.
And if you're in
One, you know.
Jericho, right? Again, you're on the west side, okay? And I don't want to again, we're just kind of helicopter. What else in the story made you go, I'm not sure I could have done that?
The second circumcision.
The circumcision.
The second time.
Yes, yes. Okay, put yourself, be a priest. Be a Levitical priest. And you're carrying the ark. Now, if you go to Israel today, Jordan's about that wide. On non-flood stage, you're like, look at you. Okay, back then, it was a big deal. It was like the Red Sea. Okay? You're the priest. You're the Levitical priest. You're holding the ark, and Joshua has told you to do what?
To walk into the water.
Walk in the water.
And then stand middle of the
flooding.
water.
It's
Seeing
at flood
that.
stage. Oh, so I don't
Yeah.
want you to think it's trickling. It's roaring by. And what's supposed to happen?
Stand, what?
Right?
Stand in the north side.
Right?
And think about them standing middle of it.
Right. The water is supposed to.
It's right there.
supposed to stop.
Yeah.
Because Joshua said it's supposed to
As soon as
stop.
you put your.
And
the
this is
soles of
supposed
your
to,
feet.
and it's going to be on dry land.
Yeah.
Because that's what Joshua said.
I thought they had to step into the water before.
They did.
They did.
Yes, okay.
And
So-
then it's their foot.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it that that meant the first guy, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're on either end, you both step in at the same time because you got this pole.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it just shows the trust or
Right.
whatever they
Faithfulness.
had, they
Right.
said,
Yeah.
okay, I'll put my foot in.
Right.
See what happens.
And see
And
what
see what happens. Because who's watching you?
The entire nation.
2 million people in back of you at a distance, of about a half mile.
Right.
To put your feet in, because Joshua said that's going to happen.
Right.
So what kind of faith does Joshua have to have?
Oh, my goodness.
He was
Unwavering.
with Moses and he
Unwavering.
saw.
And unwavering like Moses. If God said this, then I tell them this because that's what's going to happen.
And he was side by side for so long with Moses,
Right.
hearing from God, seeing God's mighty acts.
Mhm.
His trust in God just kept getting greater and greater and
Right.
greater. And then he saw Moses not go over
Yeah.
because of his sin. And he went, wow, God really does mean what he says, because if God says, no Moses,
Mm-hmm.
and it happens,
Right.
okay, that just built my trust bank even more.
Right. Right. Now apply that to your life. Because I just, sometimes I just put it down and I'm like, but what if it didn't? What if they put their feet in the water and God told Joshua, because that's what Joshua said, God told him, that this is what's going to happen to the water and it's going to be there, and then they put their feet in the water and it doesn't happen. I mean, don't we go to that worst case scenario? If it doesn't
Immediately,
happen,
yeah.
then it was me, and I must have, so it's really better that I don't really say anything. Because I could be wrong, and then if
Yes.
I'm wrong, then I look like I didn't hear God right, and then God looks like a fool, so I just won't say
Exactly.
anything, because this could happen. So we don't say anything. So what would have happened if you didn't do that?
It's still on the east side.
They'd still be on the east side, not possessing their land. Right. And Joshua would have been 80 and still waiting on land.
I don't think they'd have still been on the east side. I think God would have raised somebody else up to
Yes,
make them
he
go
would.
Yeah, he
over.
would have.
And you're right.
Yes.
And you're right. So what would Joshua have missed?
The
The
blessing.
blessings.
The land.
The land.
And so we
And
don't want to
waiting
miss
40
blessings.
years
Yeah.
for his land.
We need to obey what he says.
Right. That was my takeaway. That was I know the Lord told me that. Do I tell anybody that? No. Are you kidding me? Because, what if? Yeah, but what if you don't? Then he doesn't get the glory, and then, wow, look what you missed because you didn't step out in faith, because this is my relationship with the Lord. Whether you believe it or not really doesn't matter. What matters is, I know the Lord told me this, and I'm going to walk in faith until he tells me not to.
Yeah.
Whether I look like a fool or not. Is that not putting yourself out there?
We're on the other side though, and we've already been guaranteed that we will look foolish to the world. So what's the worry?
That's a good point. I'm not, you know what? I don't care about looking foolish to the world.
Oh, me neither.
I feel
Oh.
about looking foolish to my fellow believers. That's who I feel.
I'm happy to look different.
Oh yeah, I don't care if they think I'm a fool.
But
I'm
do
so
you
used
think,
to that.
okay, I'm going to challenge you. Do you think you look foolish to your fellow believers?
When
Yeah,
No.
the emphasis is
Believers.
believers, not churchgoers.
Exactly, thank you.
oh, there's more grace in my fellow believers than my fellow
That's
churchgoers.
right.
That's right.
Because
So
And I
there's more
think,
encouragement
too,
to do it there.
I think too, as you're talking about this, because, sorry, I was there this morning. As you're talking about this and you're going through it and you're wrestling with, did I hear God? Is this what God? I think we need that process because I think that solidifies to us that, yes,
And I think
I
we need to
did-
talk about it with
I
one
did
another to
indeed
see.
hear this. And I think sometimes as we talk about it, it becomes clearer to us. Exactly
As we
what
talk
God
about
wants
with our fellow
with our
believers.
fellow believers. That,
I think we get courage
that we get
and strength
and
to
we get
actually.
clarification in our own thinking.
I agree.
Yeah.
But do we do that?
I always want to put a fleece out.
Right? Right? Should I open my mouth or should I? Larry.
When God presented the opportunity for us to go to Panama, have a stem cell treatment, we heard from God through Christian friends.
Right. You need that
You
confirmation.
need that. And then we talked about it, and we went and met with Pastor James.
Right.
And then it's a matter of, in our conversation with him, and his questions to us about
Quality of life.
quality of
Mhm.
life. Would you, if you don't do it, and it doesn't work, what have you lost?
Right.
And if
And
do
you need people to ask you those pointed questions
Oh,
to bring you back to, for me, black and white. This is, and this, well, okay, yeah. And sometimes you can say, right, okay, duh, yeah, you're right. And then sometimes you go, I haven't answered that question. I need to go back and answer that question before you make some huge decision. Now, you always want to say that this is a huge decision. What about your little decisions?
Little decisions are
They
just.
lead to big.
They
They
lead
need-
to that big one, and if you can't make the little ones, there's no way you can make the big one.
'Cause it's all
you
about
know,
obedience.
It is,
It is.
and
It's not
that is a big one. But what about your little decisions? For me, the Lord will tell me, my neighbor across the street, Ed, take Ed extra food. Well, like now? Or can I wait till tomorrow? Or can I wait till, he mightn't think this is really silly, just bringing a plate of, I don't know. Maybe that's
If
just
you
a
hear
really
bring
dumb
food
thing
for
to do.
Sacho,
Right, right. See, now you think about this. Now, you may have liked to cook. My mom liked to cook. She didn't cook anymore. There's one person. So does she get a pot of spaghetti? Not usually. Does she get a roast carrots and potatoes? Well, not really, because that's way too much. Same with Ed. Same with Ed. I gotta think. That's a small thing. I obeyed, and he leaves me this sweet, precious voicemail. You guys have been such good friends, and blah, blah, and it just goes on and on and on. And I'm like, I don't know that. That's not a Jordan River. That's not a Jordan River. But it is a putting my foot in and just taking the first step. Because why does Ed need a meal today? I mean, Ed's across the street. He's been across the street for 20-something years. Why does he need every now and then I need to go take Ed some food. I don't know why. So I do.
And that's the outcome of a mighty act of God, because it was the Holy Spirit
Talking.
that said, do that, and that is a mighty act of God,
And you've
the
got to
Holy
act
Spirit.
on it. Right.
Would
No matter
never
that
ask
little
you to.
still small voice, do it. Do it. Because that, again, that's just a little thing. It's not a Jordan River, but
A couple of
Some
Mondays
people,
ago,
yes.
Joni and I were at Starbucks, as we go every Monday morning, this young girl was sitting at a table, right just close to us, by herself, had her Bible and everything, and so we were just still talking and everything, and all of a sudden I just felt like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to her, see what she's studying. She was studying Hebrews, or reading Hebrews. Anyway, the wonderful thing about it is, she just moved here like 3 weeks ago,
Wow.
didn't know anybody except the people that she's staying with. She's from Michigan. And what else was it, Joni? It was something else that was coming to you. I forget. There was something else that she said that I thought, and Joni too. I said, this is Joni, you know. And so it was really
Isn't that
fun to meet up with her. And she said that, you know, she said, I saw you too, and I just wondered about you, you know, and I felt like
Had a commonality.
something, you know, and so I said I invited her to Precepts, but she goes to school, and so you know it was just an all God experience for sure.
Right.
And so when we went this past Monday, I texted her again, said we're going to be at Starbucks, so if you're available.
So you got her contact information.
Yeah. Oh
you
yeah,
texted.
I did. I got contact information.
Margie would.
See, that's great though. That's great.
And so I told her, I said, we're going to be here, so if you're available, come. And she said, well, I had homework she had to do, but she appreciated me contacting her.
See, and that's just the little drops. You just
Yeah.
never know. Well, let's get into chapter 1 because we went over that pretty extensive last week, but I don't think we put a theme to it. Be strong and courageous, the Lord is with you. I mean, that 3 times it said be strong and courageous, so you've got to have that in your theme somewhere.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that could even be your theme
That is my,
without anything else. Why? Why does he start out, be strong and courageous?
because of the decisions he's going to have to make too.
Right.
Yeah.
And what he was going to have to do.
Right. And Moses, my servant, is dead.
Yeah.
So, time to step up,
Now
buddy.
it's yours.
Fill in the shoes, this is your time. Right. And who's telling him to be strong and courageous? Yeah.
Not twice. in
It's
the
not
people-
Moses.
And then the
Right.
officers.
It's not Moses telling him, now it's God. It was always God and Moses to Joshua. Now it's God to Joshua. All right? He was going to take them into the promised land. He's going to need to be strong and courageous because he's been with these people for 40 years, going around in the wilderness. We like manna, now we don't like manna. I want meat. I can't stand this manna. And he's been through all of that, and all the burials, and all the water and the lack of water. He's walked through all of it. Okay? So how is he supposed to be strong and courageous? Because I'm not telling him to do something without telling him how to do it.
It's a faith.
By faith.
Be careful, do all
The things I tell you.
right. How did he have the law? This is important. How did he have the law?
He was there when Moses got it.
Right?
Do not-
Okay.
It was in
Did
the
he
ark.
have the Torah?
Yes.
Yes,
How do
because
we know
Moses-
that?
Because
wrote
Moses
it.
had
Because
written
Moses wrote it, and now Moses, my servant,
Dead.
is dead. So Moses had to write it before he died. So he has the Torah.
Do not part from it, do not go to the right,
Right.
or to the left.
Or the left. Now, what did she say about meditating on it day and night? What did she say that meant? Which was a great picture.
She said muttering, just saying it to yourself over and over again as you went along.
Right, along the way.
Yeah.
That's right. So how can you meditate on it if you haven't been in it?
Right.
You
Yeah,
can't.
how can you repeat scripture to yourself
And
if
you
you
can't
haven't?
mutter something.
Right.
Right. It's like being part of a conversation that you weren't part of. No, I don't know. I don't remember that conversation. Right, because you weren't part of it. Well, you can't meditate on that conversation because you didn't have it. So you have nothing to draw on. That's a scary thought. You're supposed to meditate on the law day and night. When I always think of that when you lay down, when you rise up, and when you walk in the way. How can you do that if you've never actually been in it? Okay? The Lord was with him, and the people were ready to follow, so he has to initiate the process. Okay? He had led them in battle. What's the battle you would remember?
Well, that was,
All the
what's her name,
kings.
Sihon.
Sihon and Og,
Yeah.
right? Where's Moses?
Moses is on the mountain. with his
Uh-huh,
arms
and what's
raised.
happening?
Holding up his
Oh,
arms.
somebody's holding up his arms so much, who's fighting down there?
Joshua.
Right, did they win?
Yes.
They did. What
As
miraculous
long
happening
as it's on-
happened there?
As long as Moses' arms were up, they were winning.
Right, right. And wasn't, more hours of the day are added on that as well to that battle. That, how does the sun stay in the sky longer than it's supposed to?
It's a mighty act of God.
Because it's a mighty act of God with his people,
Because he said so.
okay? All right, time to take possession of the land. Chapter 2, what'd you get for a theme for that?
Rahab and 2 men spies.
Good, because that's what the whole chapter's about.
Yeah.
Okay? Joshua sent 2 spies to Jericho. What side of the Jordan are these spies on?
West.
They're on the west.
Mm-mm.
Jericho's on the west.
Yeah.
How'd they
are
get
in
there?
Cross the river.
At
Night.
Flood
Flood
stage.
That's what we were
It
talking about.
isn't dry.
How did they get across?
How did these 2 spies get from the east to the west and back again?
Let's hope they could swim.
It doesn't say.
No.
Doesn't say how they got. to
I would
the east.
really like to know.
Doesn't say
Because
how-
these guys didn't walk on dry ground
Yeah.
the first time.
Right.
Doesn't tell how big it is.
It doesn't tell. Say that again?
You start on a raft to the north, you can drift across.
That's true.
Right? So who's building the raft?
At the perfect
Where's the
angle.
raft?
They've had to do those kind of things before.
Absolutely.
Had to build
So it's interesting that Joshua tells them to go over and spy the land. He doesn't tell them how to get across the river. He
Not that we
doesn't
know of it.
tell them to build this and cross here. He just,
Maybe he did.
Go check out
just
the land and
that north
especially
we written
Jericho.
down.
okay.
And they got back.
And they got back. And there's only 2 of them, not 12.
Yeah.
And we don't know their name.
Yeah.
Don't
Because
just-
the significance here is the mighty act of God.
It is. And God chose not to
Reveal
part
it.
the Jordan for them
Yeah.
at that time.
No.
I don't know how they crossed. I
Somehow
don't
they
even
did.
know how long it took them to cross.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do I know how long it took them to get back?
At least 3 days.
3 days.
Yeah. They were hiding 3
That's
days.
all I know.
and
They were
then-
hiding 3 days.
And then they
and
went
then
back.
they came back.
So it must be more than 3 days.
Amazing.
Yeah, the hiding 3 days. Yeah.
I was just like, so how did these guys like get over? I mean, and it's at flood stage, so it's roaring. So I hope you
Yeah.
like whitewater rafting. So I don't know.
But you don't know that he didn't part it for him either. Just 'cause it doesn't
I
say
don't.
him.
That's
Just
true.
because it didn't
Doesn't
record
say.
it doesn't mean it didn't happen.
That's true.
That's true. Okay.
But he's,
I don't
but
think so.
wasn't that
This was
usually
for
the,
Moses and
wasn't it the ark that
Joshua.
when the priest went, that's when it, or
Yes.
That's when it parted. That's when he recorded that it parted.
Yeah.
I don't know how the 2 spies got there, spied out Jericho, and then got back and
Yeah.
gave a good report. And then they crossed. I don't know. That's a
Maybe it was
lost
still,
part of
the
the
water was
story.
still when
My
they
logic
crossed.
kicks in and they swam.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, right, right. Because what are you
kinda
gonna
like the
do?
raft
That's too much.
theory.
It's cumbersome. What are you gonna do with
I
all
don't
that?
think God.
Yeah.
Still just get into the north and
Drift
paddle
down.
and drift across. Yeah.
Right, right. They're
Go with
they're
the
smart.
flow.
And he wouldn't have chosen 2 guys that didn't know how to. do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, chapter 2, verses 1 to 7. What are those about? Because I'm not going to take the time to read every verse.
Them going to Rahab and her hiding them.
Good, good.
Here's another
Um,
mystery. How
and
they
people
get
know
into
that-
the city and how they get into Rahab's house.
Right, okay.
And the king knew about it.
How do you know about it?
It just says it was told to the king.
It's just like-
Somebody saw them.
So they end up at a harlot's house. These are spies from Israel, and you
right.
end up at the harlot's house.
Well, possibly
Why?
hers was one of the few houses that had
On the
lights on
wall.
that was
And
still open.
on the
considering
wall.
her-
And
I mean,
it was on the
There was
wall,
an
so
open,
they
people
can.
coming and going.
exactly. And why does the king send a message to Rahab the harlot
Yeah.
to ask her about these I am figuring, as a kid, I watched Daniel Boone, so they always went to the, like a pub.
You went to the
saloon.
The saloon, okay?
Which was also
And there was
lodging.
lodging up there as well. And that was where every traveler went, and all the stories were starting. Did you hear about blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah? I'm picturing that's what this is about. This is the lodging house. This is where everybody goes that come in and out of the city because, you know, her house is on the wall. So this would have been the newsy place, obviously, because the king asks her.
Yeah.
All right? They end up, has God prepared a place for them already, these two spies? Friendly territory in
Amazing.
enemy
Yes.
territory.
Yes. Just,
That's crazy. They don't know if she's going to hide him, turn him over. They don't know.
No.
but she's heard.
But she's already
and
predisposed
I know.
She
towards
is.
them.
So God's already worked on her
Taking care
heart.
of her heart and going,
Yeah.
yeah, I know about you. Come on in.
So think about that.
That's amazing.
They're told to go into enemy territory, be a spy. Okay, that's espionage. I mean, spies are killed. That's, you get caught, you're killed. Of course you are. You're a spy. They're not caught. They actually end up in a person that is on their side who hides them. Who does that?
Risking her own.
Risking her own life. They didn't know that. They didn't know that that's what her attitude for them was, but here they are. The king heard about it and sent, but why her? How did he know they were there? How did the king know they were there?
Well, he was told
Just said,
He was told, and we don't know who by
by other
either.
people. Yeah.
Saw some strange dudes.
She
going
hid
about.
and protected them. She didn't just hide them up there, hoping they know the men don't. She protected them as well.
Yeah. Because she lied for them.
She lied for them.
Sure they weren't the first men that went up there.
Probably not, but she's hiding them from the king.
Yeah.
What could happen to her if she's found out?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She put her life on the line for these guys who really are her enemies because she knows what they're coming in to do.
Do
Because
we
she
know
heard
what-
about the Red Sea.
Do we know what nationality she is?
Nope, just from Jericho. That's all I know.
I thought that she was very comfortable in lying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Very
struck me
believable.
that God knows our tendencies, our weaknesses, the things we're, and He used the fact that she was comfortable in being deceitful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That had been something she's had to do in her business.
Right.
Right.
She's lying to one guy because there's,
A lot.
Yep. Right.
So
Actually keeping the
how
keys to the house.
God used that
Right.
as a protection, because if she hadn't been believable,
Right.
if it had been somebody else,
They'd have been found
they
out.
couldn't have pulled it off.
Right.
Right. And the men that came to her and said, where'd they go? Totally believed her.
Oh, yeah.
They went through the gate, and then so off they went. It was like, oh yeah, because this is Rahab. Rahab is a source of information. And we always believe Rahab.
Yep, she knew what was going on in the town.
So the men of Jericho went away to look for the two men. What possible harm can two guys do? Why are they so afraid of two guys?
they've heard the story of their
Because they
God.
know
That's
who they
why
belong
they're
to.
afraid.
They know they're coming.
Because
I mean-
even out of Rahab's mouth,
They're already discouraged
The
before
Red
they
Sea.
even get there.
That's
It's
right.
Oh, no, we can't beat them.
that's right. Okay, verses 18 to, or 8 to 21. What are those about?
Oh my goodness. My favorite is the 11.
Is verse 11?
Your God is the
He is God in heaven above.
Yeah.
Is God in
Right.
heaven and earth.
Who? Why would she say heaven above and on earth beneath? Now, what had she mentioned before? What occurrence had she mentioned before that everybody knew about?
How he dried up the Red Sea.
Oh, he dried up the Red Sea.
And also the killing of the two kings.
Okay?
So that's on the earth. But because I think that was very unique, I think in the worship of other gods, they were always, God of the moon and God of the stars, but they didn't think about really God with them on the earth.
Right. I see. In me, I was like, I get the earth because the Red Sea dried. This is all stuff that's happening. victorious over Sihon and Og.
Right.
That's earth. But why heaven?
I know, I didn't know.
Because to me, all of their understanding of the gods, but they were somewhere up there.
But
So,
what miraculous happened while his hands are up and Joshua's fighting.
The sun
yeah,
was.
the sun stayed up.
They didn't mention that, but that happened.
But it didn't.
Right.
So how did the day get longer? Because now these people, when the sun goes down, it's this time, and we do this at this time, and that one day, that didn't happen.
So this is the God of heaven and earth.
Who
Wow.
makes the sun stay in the sky longer?
Wow.
Our gods can't do that. Our gods have never done that. But the Red Sea, well, that's a 40-year-old story, but we still tell that story, and it was right here with Rahab. But the sun stood still. You're like, that's different.
Yeah.
Nobody has the power to keep that blazing ball in a place where it doesn't usually go for as long. That's the only thing I could come up with heaven
Yeah.
and on earth below. Okay?
One of the common beliefs was that your gods were only God in a certain area. And so
Yeah.
when the miracles happened in Egypt, every miracle had dealt with Egyptian gods.
Right.
Yeah.
And God's
Each one,
power over
that's the
them.
frogs.
Yes.
Now they're in Egypt, and the Jews were from Canaan, so why is God doing that to them there? So God is more powerful than all the other gods.
Mhm. In
And
Egypt.
And then when they
No
come
matter where
across
they
the
go.
Red Sea, and they come against the other tribes in these battles, not only does he stop the sun, but their gods are not able to overcome
Right.
him and his power.
And darkness was one of those plagues.
Mhm.
So again, that would have been heaven up. And they would have known about the plagues because they knew about the Red Sea.
Right.
I was gonna say, do you think they knew about Pharaoh and, the sun rises and it didn't?
Right. And it didn't that day.
Oh,
Whoops.
How did she know that the Lord had given the land to Israel? How'd she know that? She's not an Israelite.
All those newspapers they got.
Facebook. I'm a friend with Israelites, right? How did that? I was just a question. I'm not saying I know the answer to that. I'm just like, how did she
Again,
know?
other travelers have come through,
Yep.
Right.
and,
Mhm.
well, who are those people? Well, they say that God has given them this land.
And they're still on the east side.
Yep.
Right.
But
She
they're
had-
And probably even knew that there was this 40-year time span.
well, yeah. So why are they
Because
all
God
gathered in
told the
this one place
Israelites
now?
who would have, other people would have heard and passing through.
Yeah. Why
Right.
aren't you
It's hard to
moving?
ignore 2 million people, yeah.
It is, but they've been wandering. So what's the big deal that they're camped at the east of the Jordan now?
Well, because now they're on your doorstep,
And
and they're looking to go somewhere.
Right? Now's the time, Judy.
And in her line of work, she saw every element of person come
That's true.
in and out of the
Yeah.
door. So there was news from everywhere coming in.
That's
That had to
true,
be
yeah.
information central because of the characters that came through her doors.
And another thought, who's already possessed their land?
The Gad, Reubenites, and half of
Right.
Manasseh.
They've already
Yes,
possessed their land.
Yes,
Who's dressed in war?
those same
40,000
of them, yeah.
ready to go. Yeah, that's just a guess. I don't know. The terror and the fear of Israel had fallen on the people in Jericho. Well, if you were in Jericho and you saw 2 million people on the other side, I'd
heard
be a
the
little
stories.
afraid myself because I don't even know what 2 million people look like, but they must look like ants. They must just look like a bunch of, you can't even see the end of them.
Yeah.
And they're getting ready to come over to your town. Okay?
Put up a wall.
And they already had a wall, right?
Comes
But they didn't have any trust in, she didn't have any trust in that wall. Why would she not have trust in that wall? Her house is on that wall. But now she doesn't have trust in that wall. And their gates, those gates are guarded.
Well, if their God can part the sea, he can surely take down this wall.
There you go. Okay?
Or at least a gate, for sure.
So her faith isn't in anything she can touch.
No.
Nothing she can touch. The inhabitants, the land's inhabitants had melted. before Israel. Melted. Now again, we talked about the the Red Sea drying up. They knew about the 2 Amorite kings. Now these were big
dudes.
kings,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
dudes. You don't have victory over them, especially when they join together. But Israel did. No courage remained in them. There's that word again. But the Israelites aren't using it. Rahab's using it. Interesting, because in chapter 1, who told Joshua, "You be strong and courageous, and he'll follow you"?
God did.
Yeah. Okay. And then the guys, the tribe, the half tribe, and Gad and Reuben told them, "You be free," right? And now Rahab's going, "We don't have any courage.
We
in
don't
us.
got that.
Our hearts are
It's
melted."
gone.
Okay? Rahab knew the Lord as God in heaven and on earth, and she believed the spies could save her from death. I don't know where she gets this faith. She is living not among believers, put it that way.
Yeah.
So she's putting her faith out there.
She's joining the other side.
God prepared her. Yeah.
God prepared her. Right.
Yeah.
And she was not afraid to speak what she believed to be true around enemies and maybe family members that didn't, you are be Rahab. Just for a minute, step back and be Rahab. What's your business?
Selling your body.
Selling your body for money and having a house that does that. Right. So these Israelites that serve the God of heaven and on earth below are just going to take you in.
You know, her business also probably relied on being able to keep secrets.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of
Even
secrets.
clientele. Yes.
And in the clientele. Good point. Good point.
Because just as today you have the senator as well as the homeless man,
Right.
All walks of society going in for that fix.
Right.
Be Rahab. Where do you get that kind of thing?
God.
You have to.
And
Yeah.
then she married Boaz.
Yes.
Line of Jesus.
Line of Jesus.
Yeah. So
Her heart
where,
melted. It's in
who
her heart
prepared
melted.
her?
That's right.
I just,
Well.
I hope that, and I urge you, when you read, now to put it down and go, what if I were Rahab? Okay, now, so I picture myself in this lodge on the wall in Jericho, and we know what's going on in all the rooms because that's our business. And then these 2 spies from Israel come in, and I want to get out of this business. I want to go with them. I want to be with them. Why do I want to be with them? Because that looks way better than what I'm doing, and I know they serve the God of heaven above and earth
I
below.
want my soul to be right.
But what if they won't? What if they won't take me? What if
I'm not good enough?
What if I'm not good enough, and what if they won't make a covenant with me because I'm a prostitute and I'm dirty?
She
What
had a
if,
pretty good covenant to make with them, or agreement. Well,
she
spies
knew
needed.
covenant. She knew covenant. She knew if they swore and she swore, that's it. Then your life from my life if you don't keep it. That's covenant. But be Rahab.
She had the power position
Wow.
in the negotiation. If you don't agree to what my terms are, I'm going to turn you in.
But that's only 2.
For those 2.
That's the only. I don't know if I'd agree with that. I don't know if anybody has more power over one or the other because they're coming
I know they're coming, but
and they're going to kill people either
as far
way.
as her negotiation at this point,
She could have turned them in.
because her in with the Israelites are these 2 guys.
Right.
And so-
I don't think that's what she feared. I think she feared the God of heaven above and the God of the earth below, because He has the power of all this. And I want to be with you guys Have you ever done that in your life going, I don't want to do this anymore.
When you accept
I
the
want to
Christ,
do
yeah.
this now.
Yeah.
Because this worked for a while, but I don't really like it anymore.
Because in 11, verse 11, she identifies the God
She
of heaven
does.
and earth.
She does. What a journey up until that moment
Yeah.
to go, this is my chance.
Right.
This is my chance to get out of here and have a whole new life with a whole new people. Was she just thinking of herself?
No.
No, her whole family.
Her whole family was like, okay, not just me. What if I get everybody in my household?
And for
Right?
them to say yes.
Right.
That was the question I had. If some of the family members going, I'm not having anything to do with her, she's trash.
Right.
But they,
Which they could have.
they could have, but they
Totally could have,
didn't.
but they didn't.
But God.
Okay? What kind of faith did the spies have in their fellow Israelites? Huge. In their obedience.
Yes.
They will obey. They will. If Joshua or we tell them, this is the covenant we've made with this, so you cannot go in there. What if somebody goes rogue? Nobody's going rogue.
The mighty
No.
act of God. It's just unbelievable.
This is a different people
That red
for now.
That red hanging
Yes.
down from
Yeah.
Right. Right.
red.
So when you read these characters, put it down. Go, okay, what if, picture it in your head. What would that have felt like? Picture those Levites standing, putting their foot first in the water, going, it better go back
It better.
just like that. Because if it doesn't, oh man, we're
We don't
going
even know
40
what-
more years.
Yeah.
Okay? They had to do that. They had to, okay, Joshua said, the Lord said it, he said it, so let's go. It had to be just like that. Because if it wasn't, then the people would go, why are they just putting their little big toe in there to see why are they doing that?
Nothing's happening.
Why aren't they just doing what Joshua said? Why aren't they doing? Then that just trickle. Can't have that. Can't have that. Your cross references. What'd you find out in Hebrews and James, Joshua and Matthew? That's page 17.
By faith.
She's in the, we call that the Hall of Faith,
Just
right?
yeah.
Verse 11.
By
A
faith.
prostitute is in the Hall of Fame. Just saying. Don't miss that. God cares more about the heart than he does about your past life. She didn't perish along with the rest of Jericho. Okay, she acted on belief. What about James 2:25? What is James all about?
Works and faith.
Works and faith.
Right, yeah.
Faith without works is dead.
Her works demonstrated her faith.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Joshua 6, which we didn't get into. But she said, if I get all these people in there, then this is what you do. And we don't know yet, because we haven't gone into chapter 6, what actually happens during this battle. But they gave us a little bit.
They set her and her family outside the Israel camp.
Outside, yeah.
They put her outside the camp.
Yeah.
Who was assigned to do that? And how do you keep this group of people that was inside the house, but now they're not,
Yeah.
and they have to get outside the camp of Israel and all the armies coming in? How do you keep those people safe? It's like, oh, don't touch them, don't touch them.
Yeah. Mighty act
You
of
have
God.
to have trusted warriors
You
assigned to
have
that.
to have
yes.
trust in your fellow warriors that they're going
It's
to
the
go.
SEAL team, the extraction team.
Here comes the SEAL team taking Rahab and her household to safety.
Yeah.
It's
Okay?
trusting God also. that
Absolutely.
God's going to keep those people that's standing next to you not from hurting them.
What's Rahab doing when she walks out with her whole
Faith.
household with these people she hasn't met yet? She's only
trusting
met the two
they're
spies.
not gonna just annihilate them all, that they're gonna fulfill their,
These are my people now.
yep. So,
My
Just
thought,
the trust. I'm like, I don't trust people like that. I don't know them. I don't trust you. I'll go, hi, how are you doing? How you doing? I'm fine, great. No, I'm not trusting you with my life. I don't know you.
the what I would do, I would send the two spies with the
To help to
group-
take her out.
with
Familiar
the group,
face.
so she could identify.
Could have been that they did that, because then that was a familiar face that she knew. These are the guys. Okay, all right. And in Matthew 1:5, we know Rahab is in the genealogy of Jesus.
Restoration. What an incredible.
What an incredible story.
Jenny, going back, part of the, when they're talking, when she's talking with the spies,
Yes.
and she's hiding them,
Mhm.
and they're talking, and she's asking about herself and her family. The two spies said, "Our life for your life."
Right. Okay, which leads us into covenant. What do you
Right.
What do you know about covenant? Those of you who
It's
studied covenant, what do you know? What does it mean?
It's forever.
It's two,
Forever.
there's two sides
Two
as well.
sides, there's
They
agreement.
bind
Agreement.
to
Both
one
sides, and
agreement.
it is a forever covenant. So when they
Good.
go back to Joshua, the leader, and tell him of her faith, what she has done,
Right.
and what the covenant they have made, I mean, that's a done deal.
What happens if one party breaks it?
They should be put to death.
They have to be
Yeah.
put to death.
Yeah.
They have to be put to death. Right. Okay.
Well, there's a, I will do this, and if I don't do this, this is what my punishment will be.
Exactly.
And they both agree on the punishment
And they both agree, and they
and the
knew.
blessing.
We've just cut covenant. So there's no stronger bond than that.
This is what you have to do, put the red cloth down, have your people ready.
Right.
So,
She had to fulfill it
oh
totally.
yeah,
Yeah.
total fulfillment.
And anybody in the household that decided to go out in the street, I'm not responsible for you.
Right.
This is the rule. This is where we have to stay. So, but Rahab initiated it.
But
So she
before
knows
you-
covenant, which is Israel. This is not Philistine or Jericho or whatever. This is an Israelite thing. Who initiated the first covenant? When?
Abraham.
Abrahamic covenant. Okay, then we can go back to that Adamic covenant. We can go back to Noah. Okay, we can go back further than that. The promise of the Savior in Genesis 3. Okay, this is not a new thing. And again, this is all in the Torah. All of it has been recorded in the Torah.
She also started her covenant off in front of them by hanging the cloth out. Because they said, put your cloth out so that we know not to do it. She said, done.
Done. Yeah. So
Right in front
she
of their
acted
eyes.
on her faith.
Exactly, right
Right?
then. Done.
Okay?
It's a good possibility they slid down their cloth.
It's a good possibility. On the other side of the wall.
Uh-huh.
Safety for her and all her household. That was the pledge. Total safety. The instructions for them to return safely to Israel, who gave those? Rahab
She
gave
told them
that.
how to avoid the men.
Right, right. And again, in her line of business, she would have known that. She had to tie the scarlet cord in the
I
window
just thought
of her
about that.
house.
She would have known the escape routes.
Right.
You can
What
go
a
that way
perfect
without
person to
being,
stay with.
without being seen, because you don't want people to see that you've been with me. So go down here and people won't see you.
It's just,
Well, and she told the Jerichoites
right, the guys who were coming.
that they went this way.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They went that way.
They really went that way.
Yeah.
Yes,
Little
yes.
misdirection here.
Yeah.
That's great.
So again, okay, she had to act. First of all, she had to initiate the covenant. Then she had to agree to what they said. But then she had to tie the cord. And where are all the people? Where's all her family? In the city. They're not living with her.
Right.
So they have to get them. She has to get them. I don't even know how big Jericho is at this point. Chapter 6,
Yeah.
we'll know a little bit better. She has to go get them and get them into her brothel.
Right. Right.
I don't know if I want to come into your house or not because it might be dirty.
You don't
What
think she
God
did family
did, they
dinners, huh?
all
I don't think
went.
so. Yeah, no, I think family dinners were held at her
That
house.
is incredible. They all went.
So now her family has to believe her.
You know what?
That's incredible. Maybe they saw the change in her. Like, this is not the same.
Right?
Wait a minute.
Maybe there's no.
We're
reason.
assuming that these people are not of the world. Maybe they really didn't think that what she was doing was such a big deal.
Maybe
go
they
under her
didn't
house
think it was a
was-
big deal.
That's true.
Yeah, and go into her
That's
house
possible.
was just
Don't do that.
whatever, because that's just how they all lived.
They don't live under the same moral
They don't live under our moral
It's
standards.
true.
That's true. Good point.
That is very true.
Also, were they part of the family business?
You
Yeah,
know,
who
but again, you got
knows?
children. You had to have children, maybe parents. I don't know.
But still, just the whole thing of getting to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting them to come back with her.
How long did she have to do that?
Immediately.
Well, 3 or 4 days maybe.
3 or 4 days is what I'm thinking.
But it doesn't seem that she thinks it's going to be a problem, or why would she have
doesn't.
asked for it?
That was
That's
her
true.
condition.
Good point.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So if I get all my family, and it's not like, if I can convince them, it's like, okay, so I want my family safe, and they said, bring them to your house, and she was like, done deal.
So who's got the more work to do?
She does.
She's
Well,
got way
and
more work to
Sue,
do.
They all know these Israelites are out there.
They do.
So
Yes.
she goes and
So the
says,
fear, and that's right, they said the
so
fear of
she
the Lord.
can go, she goes or sends a messenger and says, I've struck a deal. Well, they know that's a possibility because
Yeah,
people
because
come
it's
in.
Rahab.
Deals for her.
So
Good
gather up
point.
your family, your belongings that you want to bring, whatever stuff.
Right.
Be at my house.
Right.
At this day.
Right.
And those
So-
that belong to you. So it wasn't just their family, it's those in the household.
That's
that
it.
belong to
Right.
you.
That's it. That's all the stuff she had to do. What was the one thing Israel had to do?
Protect.
For keep
For
her safe.
cross.
Yeah.
Keep her safe.
Keep her safe.
Keep her safe. That's it.
Not her, them.
Them.
Yeah.
And they don't know what her household looks like. They just have to trust her that this is my household.
Right.
Just the discussions that had to go on.
This is great.
It would be like a great movie. I'm just,
I agree.
because all these people are in the house. Okay, this is one, this is one, this is one. I don't know who that is, but this one is the, yeah. And then we have to go through the street while the mob is coming through because they're running from the people that are at war. But I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, did they all slide down the rope out the outside wall? I don't know. But I'm just
Right.
like,
And how did they
imagination
cross
can
over?
really run away
How
with
did all
you.
them cross over?
Say again.
How
I
did
don't
all?
think they had to cross the Jordan because it says he took them outside the city.
Yeah.
It doesn't say he took them across the river.
No,
What he
just
said.
that, because they're possessing the land, they're not going back.
Yeah, they're not going to go back across.
But I thought it said that they took them outside their camp,
They did.
the Israel.
But this is after they've crossed the
Oh,
border.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
That's
Yeah.
right,
That
and that's the
makes sense.
children
They're
and the
What's
moms and everything like that
Everybody's
are camps.
slaves.
Warriors are
They've
coming
been
in.
there for a
Yeah.
while. I'm not sure if
Oh, that's
it's-
right.
I'm not sure if she just had 3 days because the guys are there hiding out for 3 days. They come back. They go through. God tells them to do the circumcision.
Right.
So they go through. I
3
don't know
days
how
of
long
that.
it takes to circumcise 1,000,000 guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how long it takes them to
Right.
heal. Then they cross. They get
Right.
their camp set up. I mean,
It'd be a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it is a wild.
And there's a
area.
lot of unknowns.
There is.
Of the
There is.
direction that they could take.
Verses 22, they departed and came to the hill country and remained there for 3 days until the pursuers returned. Now the pursuers had sought them all along the road, but had not found them. The 2 men returned and came down from the hill country and crossed over and came to Joshua the son of Nun. They just crossed over. There's only 2 words, but you're like, and they related to him all that had happened to them. They said to Joshua, surely the Lord has given all the land into our hands. Moreover, all the inhabitants of the land have melted away before us. I'm like, good report. Thank you, Lord. And there was only 2. There wasn't 12. Okay? The land was given to them by the Lord. How do these spies know that? Just by looking at it. How do they know that?
Well, Rahab told them.
Right?
Our hearts
They
are melted.
had
There's
it
no courage left.
confirmed. Okay? So here's their faith being confirmed by this time. Maybe an unbeliever, maybe she's a believer by now. I don't know. Her actions show her faith.
Right.
It's huge. The land's inhabitants had melted away before Israel. I mean, that's what Rahab described, so they get a good report. All right, chapter 3. What could be a theme for that one?
Crossing over.
Yeah,
And
I put
the
crossing
ark
the Jordan.
of the
Right, okay? Cross the Jordan on dry ground. Ark of the Covenant parts of what? Something.
Yes.
Something so that you know this is where this happened, okay? Just, again, the 2 spies did not cross on dry ground, and I could just imagine me and them talking to each other as they cross on dry ground. Well, this is easier. It just, don't put yourself in each person's place, okay? Because it just gives you a visual, and I'm just very visual. And I just can't help but think them going, whatever we did. Yeah, this is much better. Verses 1 to 4. Israel's still on the east side.
Yeah,
Joshua's telling them, we're going to cross.
yeah,
Okay?
get ready.
These are not people that have crossed the Red Sea. They are all dead except for Joshua and Caleb. Okay? So whose shoes do you want to put yourself into this time? You're going to picture something, an experience.
Oh, Levitical priest for me.
Okay? I want to be Joshua or Caleb.
Oh, yeah, me too. Okay, guys.
Because they crossed the Red Sea.
Right.
They knew what that
They
looked
know.
like.
Yeah.
Compare that, okay? They've got Pharaoh and all his army
So,
coming after them, and what's separating them from their enemy?
put on fire.
The fire. Fire right there. So there's God's presence. They got all these people coming from Egypt, and they're crossing the Red Sea. Joshua and Caleb did that. This is their second time to cross over on dry ground on water that's been standing up on a wall. Now you know they had to compare it.
Of course.
You know they had to go, well, it doesn't quite look what the Red Sea did, or, you know, they had to be next to each other. I can't imagine them not being next to each other, making a second crossing on dry ground. God's mighty act of holding back a huge body of water. Do they see their enemy?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
Okay?
They at least see the wall.
They at least see the wall. Okay? These 2 million people are crossing over Jordan. They know their enemy is right in front of them. It's not in back of them anymore.
Think of the excitement in Joshua and Caleb after 40 years in the wilderness.
Finally.
We are possessing the land.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
this, to me,
Yeah,
the
that's
significance, part of the significance here is that when they escaped slavery from Egypt,
Mm,
God parted the Red Sea and they crossed on dry land.
right.
When they're possessing the promised land, He has parted the Jordan River and they are crossing from the wilderness to possess the land by crossing on dry land.
Now, where's the presence of God when they cross the Red Sea?
In front of them. It's,
It's behind them.
It's
oh, Red Sea, I'm
and
sorry.
the Red Sea,
Red Sea is
it's behind them, protecting them from their enemy, right?
Right.
Where's God's presence on the Jordan River?
It's in front of them. God goes before them.
And they have to pass by,
Uh-huh.
okay? He's not there. He's here.
Yeah.
That's interesting, that he's there in the ark. They didn't have the ark on the Red Sea. They had the pillar. They didn't have the ark. Now they have the ark, and it's right here.
And this time, God says, keep your eyes on the ark.
Right.
Right.
This is the reason I think the pillar of fire has been there for a while, but now the pillar of fire is gone. So now your concentration is on the ark. That's where the presence of God is. And you walk this far behind.
But that
way-
was only for a little while, for half
But
a mile, to
They
see
do
where they're
have
going to
to
stop.
pass it.
Yeah.
So once they
Now they're
make up
passing.
that half a mile, where are they going? Right by it.
Yes,
by
you
it.
have to
Yeah.
go ahead of it.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, if I'm on
Believe
this
that he's
side
still
and the
protecting.
ark's here, I'm making my way
That's why I wanted
towards
to
the
be
center because I want to
Levitical
walk by
Watch all
the Ark of the
faces.
Covenant. Ah. What were you saying?
And from this point on, after they cross, because God told them, said, you're going where you've never gone before.
Right.
So you keep your eyes on the ark. So after they cross and set up their camp, and the ark comes, they
The
say,
ark then comes and goes around them.
the
Isn't that
ark comes and
something?
goes around them. And from that point on, the ark goes before them.
Right.
So be that person crossing, and you've crossed by the ark with the presence, with the Levites holding it, and now God's presence is in back of you because he's not moving until everybody gets across. And then the priest can come up.
Until the part of his covenant that he guaranteed would happen has been done.
You're going into enemy land. It's yours. It's
Yeah.
yours. But the spies told you Jericho is there. And you're going into land that's going to be yours. God promised it's yours, but his presence is still in the middle of the Jordan still. We pass by, I can't wait till he comes up out of the Jordan and he's on the land with the. I just can't wait till he's like right here again, and we're good. Because there's still a million people to come, maybe, afterward, depending on where you are.
But also, too, you got a whole bunch of guys with swords and armor if anybody comes.
Which makes me feel good, but I'd rather have the presence of God.
Yeah, really.
Because he's holding back water. And I can't do that. And none of my buddies can do that.
Also, think about this, the people upstream.
I often wondered about that. They're good. And it's at flood stage, so what's happening to the water?
Yeah, the water is, I don't think all the water is piling up miles high.
Right.
Because the water is backing up. Therefore, the people who live up the river,
You know,
what is
something's going on. And the people down, because now there's no water.
There's no water.
And
Something
this
is
river
happening.
at flood stage is gone.
Now the word gets out, God has done this.
Right.
Their God has done this. And they have crossed.
I love it. Okay, it says, after 3 days, the officers went through the camp commanding people to get ready. So I'm thinking you've had 3 days for the spies to hide. Then they get back, and now you've got 3 days before you cross over. Okay? So you have a theme for Joshua 3, something about, right, he crossed on dry ground. Okay, but the Levitical priests could carry the ark. And they tell him to follow at a distance. Why? Why do you have to follow at a distance? Because it could be two things.
In case
You
it's
couldn't
ours,
touch it.
you can't
Couldn't
touch
touch it. That's where I went. Yeah.
And you can see where God is.
And you can see where it is. Because you're going where you've never been before.
Well,
And if
it-
it's
it-
too
it
close
does-
There's a million people.
It does say to stay back so that you can see where you're
Exactly.
going.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because my mind, first of all, went, when people touch it,
Can't
they
be near
die.
the
And they
presence
can't.
of, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
But that, I think, is more the reason why. So you can see it.
Because
Right.
just
Okay.
imagine the terrain, and the ark is here, and
Right.
it has to go right, and.
Now, they're
it's
at
on
the plains
slope,
of
and you go,
Moab.
Oh, that's where we're going, so the
So
whole,
think that they're on the plains of Moab. So this
Yeah.
should be
pretty flat.
Fairly
should be
flat.
flat, but it's a desert, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
all bets are off. And okay, said that.
But you think about large groups of anything moving, like a blob, and it kind of morphs and shifts.
You block your
And
vision.
if they didn't stay all the way back, you couldn't see, and you could end up all shifted over this way, and you wouldn't
Yeah.
have been people would have got to the river and we're supposed to cross the river.
Right,
But
right,
that's not where it's supposed to happen.
right. Again, so I had to go back and go, but why? Okay, they needed to see it. They needed to see it. So why the Ark of the Covenant first?
God leads them.
God leads them.
Yeah.
And they need to follow. Okay, you went to Exodus just to find out about the Ark of the Covenant. Maybe you didn't know what the Ark of the Covenant was. What's so special about that?
That's page 18, number 2.
Yes, at the bottom.
You can see it, it's something you can see. It is to be carried. You are to go after it goes.
What does it represent?
For
Maybe I should say
The
that.
testimony
Right,
of
so you
God.
have the two cherubim. What's supposed to be in the middle?
The mercy seat.
Right, and Shekinah glory is supposed to
Right.
be there, which
Yes.
is the presence of God. Right, okay. What did it contain?
10 Commandments.
Good.
The
And
term
those
manna.
manna.
Stick.
Manna and-
Aaron's rod.
And
that
the
budded.
law.
It contained Aaron's rod that budded.
Right.
What's the story in that? Why do we need it that it budded?
Because it was a miracle.
It was,
And it was a competition which one.
and it was a
Yes.
competition of who's the leader.
Right.
Why, I'm a priest, why can't I just, because you're not in the line of Aaron, that's why you can't be high priest.
Right.
Well, I'm still a Levite, so you put all your censers out and God will choose which one it is. So he not only chose Aaron's rod, he made it bloom and produce fruit.
Right.
Say, and just in case you want to know, I chose Aaron's. That's what's inside the ark. Okay? The mercy seat covered the ark. Okay? Mercy over the law inside of it. That's significant.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Rahab got? That is totally what she got. She is not an Israelite. Nationality did not matter. mercy was still extended. Okay? Israel, now in the plains of Moab, was to follow the presence of God in obedience, not like their forefathers before them. That's huge. Because here comes the presence of God. Well, is the Ark of the Covenant smaller or larger than the pillar?
Small.
Yeah. You got 2 million people following something smaller now.
Come to
Okay?
our house and it's marked out on the floor.
Say again.
Come to our house and it's marked out on the floor. On the floor and up the,
Blinds in the
Oh.
kitchen. We just
we got this,
marked
we
it out.
got this table in our kitchen, so Patty's marked it out. Up the side of the table.
Oh, of the
Size of
measurements
the
of the
ark.
ark?
Yes.
That's cool. Verses 5 to 13. What's that about?
Preparing
Good.
to cross over. They're to consecrate themselves.
How do they do that? Does anybody know how they did that?
I didn't look for the,
It's a good rabbit to chase.
yeah, what did that mean to prepare?
Right. Is there personal responsibility before they go in to take the land?
Absolutely.
Do you have personal responsibility before you
Take the
put
Lord's
your
Supper.
feet in the water and go, this is what I think God's telling me to do? Is there personal responsibility? There is.
They had a Torah, they know how to cleanse, and we have Bible
That's it.
too. Yeah.
That's it. There is a proper way. How can Joshua stand there and say with confidence, tomorrow, the Lord will do wonders among you?
He was
Oh.
told.
How do you know that? Because he is now God's spokesman. Just like Moses was, he has stepped into those shoes of Moses and he is filling the leadership. Okay? It's me. So now God told me this and I'm going to tell you that. Because when Moses said God said, it happened. So now when I say God said,
It will.
it's going to happen.
Amen.
Right, right.
Did you find it interesting that all of this has happened with Joshua giving direction, and then we finally get down and it says, this day I will begin to exalt you in the sight of all Israel.
Mhm.
Right?
Like, they're going to follow Joshua better
Right?
because they sounds like they've been listening to him
Well, they've been mourning for how long for Moses?
for
30 days.
30 days. That's all I know.
Yeah.
And then he tells them to go, the spies to go. And, you know, again, the Lord said, Moses, my servant, is dead. But who's he talking to?
Joshua.
He's not talking to the multitude.
Right.
He's talking to Joshua. Now, yes, it's a total natural transition, just like Franklin Graham from Billy Graham. That's,
Yeah.
okay, he's been at his feet for 40 years or more as his mentor. Everybody knows Joshua's going to take Moses' place. Okay, that's great. But are you going to be as good as Moses?
One,
You're going to be right? You're going to be right every time? I don't know, is God going to talk to you like he did Moses? Because that was pretty impressive. I mean, I heard the mountain shake, you know, and we had serpents and we had the Red Sea and we had all those plagues that Mom and Dad told me about. So, I don't know, you're going to be as good?
Guess we'll have to see it.
We'll have to see it.
Sure.
So remember that the Lord's the one that exalts the leaders in
Yeah.
his timing. Okay?
but you go back to 18, Joshua 1:18.
Okay.
And the people are saying, in 17, just as we obeyed Moses in all things, so we
Will
will
obey
obey
you.
you. Only may the Lord be with you as he was with Moses. Anyone who rebels against you and does not obey you, your words and all that you command shall be put to death. Only
But
be,
who's saying that?
That was the
There's the officers.
That's only 2.5 tribes
Right,
saying
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
only
Yeah.
be courageous.
Good start.
Be strong and courageous.
So
Yeah.
see,
But
that's a
those
good
were
start.
his warriors saying that to him.
True.
Yep.
Those were
Ones
some
that
of
had
his
to
warriors.
lead in.
Yep.
The
Yes.
ones that had to lead in.
And they had to leave their families across
Right.
the Jordan.
Mhm.
Yeah, good. Okay. Okay, Joshua called God the living God. That was interesting when she had you name. How is he called in these chapters? I'm like, oh yeah, he's called the living God. He's called the Lord of all the earth. Okay. He's going to need to be the Lord of all the earth to stop the Jordan.
Yeah, right.
And to do what he said he's going to do, that Joshua's telling the people, this is what he's going to do. So Joshua tells the whole people the waters are going to be cut off and the priests stand in the waters. So the priests have to go, okay, this is what we're going to do. Okay? That's not how he did it in the Red Sea.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. And I'm not Moses. This is different. Okay? Joshua told them in detail what's going to happen before it even happens. So he's a prophet. He's got the word of God. God tells him the wonders. He tells the people. Don't let this word depart from your mouth. So he's not going to embellish what God said. He's only going to say this is what God said. Okay? Verses 14 to 17, when the priests went into the Jordan, the water stopped. People crossed on dry ground. Okay? If you've been ever in a river, it's not dry when you sit there. Even if the water has receded a little bit, even next to it is mushy. Okay? Not here. Not here. Don't miss the wonder. Don't miss, that's part of the wonder.
Yes.
Okay? The priests, I don't think they felt the weight of the ark. I think they just kept going, there is no water. And look at all that. Now this is loud. Water is not quiet. This is loud and it's standing and it could overtake them at any moment.
But it's got to be wide enough to where people are walking on dry land.
they're in the
we don't
middle.
know how wide it
Well,
went.
We don't. Isn't that interesting?
Okay, stop and think about
How
this.
far is that?
Stop and think about this. All the river below where the priests step in.
Right.
I'm visualizing the priests are standing here, the water's right over here, and all this down here is dry, and the people are crossing
So
below,
that they're maybe close to the
below
water.
below the priests, because all that is dry.
That's my picture.
But it does
Don't know.
actually tell us that no, it was further away from that, and I unfortunately was on an airplane and didn't have a book of maps.
Oh, from the map?
But
From
the
way up
waters
in
which were
Adam?
flowing down from above stood and rose up in one heap a great distance away.
In Adam.
At
I
Adam.
couldn't
And I was
find
like,
where that
okay,
was.
So where is Adam?
Okay?
Yeah,
And
I
they're in the
couldn't find
middle.
it in any books,
Is it?
Yeah.
any maps.
That's incorrect.
But isn't that weird? Isn't that the thought of these Levitical priests holding the ark? Now, can anybody just hold the ark?
No.
Okay, so they already know they're chosen.
Yes.
They
their
already know they're set
assignment.
apart and they're
Yeah.
safely going to be holding the ark.
Right.
There's no fear there. None. But could they have the fear of the water starting to come back down?
Yeah.
How well do you know your God? Right? How well do you trust your God of the heaven above and on earth below? He is the living God. It's like,
Where is it that when someone touched the ark and they died? It
that
must
was
be
when they
after
were
this.
bringing it back. David was bringing it back from someplace,
Wasn't
and they
there.
reached up and they just
And they put it-
So they wouldn't have known that.
immediately.
Instead of carrying it, they put it on a cart.
They put it on a cart. It was not handled
Right.
correctly, put it that
Yes.
way, nor by the people who were supposed to be carrying it.
Right.
I was
Okay.
imagining the Levitical priests being there and listening to all that was said
As people went
as
by.
people went by and their faces.
That would be awesome too.
That's why I wanted to be a Levitical priest and not.
That would be awesome too, to hear all the conversation going
Yeah.
by. And you know that was a conversation around the campfire that night.
Whoa.
Okay, Numbers 26 says there were 601,730 men, 20 years old and us. So that's where we get the 2 million people. All right? And again, he dried up the Red Sea. We're going to have to jump. Joshua 4. What's your theme?
I
happened
wrote
chapter
down
4?
the ark parts the water.
Yes,
Just
I love
for the
that.
visual.
Good, good. Ark parts the water. And this again, I'm going, okay. So all the people have crossed, right? And he tells them, now, one guy from each tribe, you go get a stone.
Go
From
back.
From by the ark. Go back to the middle.
By the ark, because you're in the
Right.
middle. You
Yeah.
go by the middle and you pull out a stone. Okay, visual. What do river stones look like that have been poured over from water? They're smooth. What do rocks on land look like?
Bumpy and
All bumpy and, yeah, okay.
jagged.
Okay, so you got 12 stones and they're placed at Gilgal. Okay, I get that. That's a memorial.
Yes.
Here's one thing I really do not get.
Why in the middle?
Why does Joshua take 12 stones and put them in the middle of the river from the land?
Representative of the ark where God.
Who's going to see it?
And it's
No
still
one,
there.
but it says it's still there.
Right?
Still
Right?
there.
I'm just
Stay.
like, they're going to become smooth, just like the one on the land. But for a time, they won't be. And I don't know if you can always go back to that, but it is a memorial for him of what God did. Those were to be a memorial for their children to remind them of what God did. I can't say when she said, you know, to write down if you've had it. I'm like, I never did that. Anybody done that? Anybody said, have you done that, Patty? What'd you do?
Most recently, during this lesson, we went on the website and looked up a mesenchymal stem cell.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's our mouse pad
So is that your memorial?
for
To
the
remember.
Panama, look what God did.
Well, basically,
Remember.
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
thing Pat and I both did, we thought about this, and let's go back to our lives and look at moments that we could memorialize and remember, you know, when we were saved.
Yeah, that's a huge one.
You know, we also, when God had us to meet, I mean, our meeting was God ordained, God
Right.
ordains.
We do have that picture
We
framed.
do have that picture.
So
framed.
see, that can be a memorial.
Yes,
That's
that's
a
why
memorial.
we have it on the wall, is what, the memorial of what God did in bringing us together.
So big moments in your life, things that have changed your, and I don't think about that, but you know, when you have a kid, that's a
Yeah.
memorial. You know, you've got to have a picture
You've got,
Yeah.
of your children.
I have a picture frame when I got saved, you know, write down time and who was there and
That's awesome. Those are important, and
I
I
never-
don't think that, but
I
they
never
are.
thought about it, and I still have it somewhere because I was like, you can't throw this away. But when Mike and I got married, a gentleman who was friends with my mom and dad, was actually older than them, took our invitation and had it framed.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah.
That's a date that you won't forget it.
No.
You know,
But I
and
mean-
your kids go, what was that? Oh, that's when you and mom and dad got married. Oh, yeah, that's what that, yeah.
So-
That's good.
So the,
All right.
So the question is, for us, Pat and I are going to do this in such a way that they're going to be sit around our home, so when we see them, it's going to
Remind you.
remind
Of
us.
a God story,
Of a
Yeah.
God
not a
story.
Yeah.
family story, but can I speak about the
Mhm.
Lord in this picture?
Right. And as you tell people
Look what
this.
God did.
Yes, what God did.
here.
So, again, I don't have a reason why Joshua puts 12 in the middle of the river, but that's what God told him to do.
Yeah.
But this is flood stage,
Right.
so can you see them when it's not flood stage?
That's a good question.
Oh.
But when
That's
the
a
flood-
really good thought, and they would totally stand out
Mhm.
because
And he said, carry them on your shoulders, they had to be big.
boulders,
Right.
right?
So by the time you stack those.
That's a good point. That's a very good
That the rest of
thought.
the year, they may have created
Yes, just like
Yeah.
harvest time. It comes
Yeah.
up, it comes down. It comes up, it comes down. That's what it said. It was at flood stage because it was at harvest. That's a great. That's,
Don't you wonder if they're still there?
I do.
I
You know,
know.
and it says it's to this day. I was like, "What?" Okay, and then the 40,000 men of war that crossed, ready to help their brothers fight. How encouraging would that have been? Verses 14 to 18. That's where God says, "I'm going to exalt you." Okay, I hope you have a reference back to. What was that other verse?
Chapter 3.
Yeah.
3:7.
3:7 on verse 14.
Yep.
When it says on that day the Lord exalted Joshua, I have 3:7
3:7.
written back there, right? Because that's when you first.
Yeah.
So I will.
I will, and then
I will.
he does, right? The Lord is the one who exalts his leaders in the sight of his people in his time. Okay? We already talked about that, the sound of that water. Verses 19 to 24. Why does he tell us the 10th day of the first month they camped in the promised land?
Because the significance of when Passover.
Exactly.
The 14th, yeah.
Exactly. Okay? You go into Joshua 5. What's your theme there?
Circumcision.
That's got to be in there
Yeah.
somewhere. Okay? What else happened? Passover, and at the very end of the chapter,
The Lord's angel.
The
captain of the Lord's host. Right?
Wow.
Okay? That's got to be in your theme somewhere because you want to know where Joshua met the warrior.
Yeah.
Okay? Verses 1 to 9. Where are all these men?
On the banks of the Jordan River, on the west side.
On the west side in the middle of their enemies.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Joshua says, now you're supposed to circumcise. Why can't we do that on the east side when we had the river at flood stage protecting us from our enemies?
Right.
He doesn't question. He simply does what God told him to do.
Yeah.
Fine. This is what would. So why hadn't they all been circumcised?
They didn't circumcise while they were wandering in the desert.
So they were that disobedient as well.
Yes.
Okay?
Oh, that was because I thought maybe because they didn't have the tools or something.
Oh no, they had it. Because again, if Joshua can sit there and make a flip knife, he could have made a flip knife on the other side.
But God didn't ask them.
Right?
Yes, no.
Okay? He completely trusts the Lord to fight for him.
Yeah.
Completely. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies has got to come to your head. Okay? The place is called Gilgal, and he tells you why. Because the Lord rolled back the reproach of Egypt from them that day. Okay? Your cross references. What'd you find out with them?
What page are you on?
Genesis 17, page 20 and 21 of your homework. You had Genesis 17 and Exodus 4.
Well, circumcision is the sign of God's everlasting
Good,
covenant
good.
with Israel.
With Abraham,
Abraham.
and that's right, and his descendants, which is Israel. So what happens if you break it? What do you say?
Get punished.
You get punished. You're cut off from your people. Cut off means you're dead.
Yeah.
Okay? What do we know in Exodus 4 that Zipporah saved Moses from?
Death.
Death. Death. And boy, when you study Exodus and you read that, you're like, okay, I'm confused. You just called him out of a burning bush, and now he's being obedient to you, and he's going back at 80 years old to deliver this people, and you're going to kill him. I don't get it. Because he was not keeping covenant.
It's not good.
And he wasn't fulfilling circumcision, which was the sign of covenant with the Abrahamic people that he was going to deliver out. You
Also
have to
shows
take
that
this seriously.
Leadership can make mistakes.
Yes. Yes.
And there are consequences
For
to
not.
all of our mistakes.
There you go. There you go. Okay. Verses 10 to 12. Here we go. On the 14th day of the first month, 4 days after crossing the Jordan, Israel celebrates Passover. When's the last time they celebrated Passover?
In Egypt.
In
Yeah,
Egypt,
right
before they,
left.
that's right before they left, at the end of the 10 plagues.
Yes.
Okay? That's the last time they celebrated it. Now they're celebrating it where?
In the promised land.
In
The land.
In the promised land. Right. 40 years.
They're also, with the circumcision, it's kind of like with this group of people, not only is he removing the reproach of Egypt, but it was, I see this as also as a renewing of the Abraham covenant, and
With
they're
the people.
renewing it where?
In the promised land
In the
with a new
promised land.
generation.
This generation.
Instead of the wilderness, they renew it in the promised land with this generation.
Right. Right. So what else stopped? Manna. Now manna is supernatural. Totally supernatural. Kay does that too. She says the supernatural stopped, the common started. However, how many people are here?
Yeah.
Okay, and they're all eating produce.
From
From the promised land.
That's a lot of produce.
That's true. Never thought about that. How many apples?
That's a lot of apples. That's a lot of
Wow.
whatever. They're eating produce from the land. Okay, now go back to the spies. Who saw this land? Those 2 spies. Man, I'd be swimming across that river going, let's go!
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sick of this, man. Now look what's over there to eat. I want that. Okay? And this is what God has promised us where we're headed. Because He promises what we just got to go. Both provision of manna and the provision of the produce showed God's faithfulness to provide for His people. Because He made the land produce that much for the people that are going to be coming over on this day, at this time, that are going to need to eat. So He made it do that.
Also remember what Joshua and Caleb said. The land flows with milk and honey.
Well, they brought back evidence.
They brought
of
back
it.
that
They
huge
brought back
cluster
that
of
stuff.
grapes. Good point.
We told you it was there.
Yeah, so here we go. All right, captain of the Lord of the hosts, okay? His sword is drawn. So now you have warrior to warrior. Joshua is, remember, the head of the army of all Israel. Not just one tribe, but all Israel. Here is the warrior. As Moses was told, he was standing on holy ground. So Joshua is told, he's standing on holy ground. Remove your sandals. So this is Joshua's burning bush moment. Okay? If Moses had one, Joshua had one.
Yeah.
All right, application. Again, are you setting up memorials for you and your family? I thought that's just something I need to think about. And there might be some in my house that I didn't consider were, but are.
Right.
That I just didn't look at them like that.
Yeah.
Okay?
Go through and,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
And I don't want you to think of this as a pride thing either. Has God exalted you? Or are you still waiting on His timing? Does that mean now I'm in the presence of everybody and they show me as a leader and they follow me because I'm such a great... That's not what exalt means. Okay? To grow up, to advance, to bring up, to increase, to lift up, to nourish. Okay? Are you further along in your walk so that people can follow you because you've been through this before and you know how God was faithful here, He's going to be faithful? That's exalting. Are you a leader? And whether you think you are or not, you are, because people are following you. Somebody is following you. Whether you want them to or not, they are following you. Do they see Jesus because they see you following Him? That's, if we don't get anything else out of Joshua, I hope we get that to go. He had nobody else to follow. Can't follow Moses anymore. He has to follow God. And it said that Moses and God were like this. So now Joshua has to be like this. He's had a great example. But he has to do it. He has to do it. Okay, I'm going to give you just a couple minutes and we're going to get to the video, which is good. And ends quite weird. It's just black.
It's a what?
It's she's talking and it goes black. I'm like, well, geez, your time was up. Guess you needed to stop.
Thank you.
Yeah.